Hey friends, I cut that off too early. My name's Aaron Ciotti. Everybody calls me Ciotti. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're going to be taking a look at the HQ Ultralight 1.2 by 0.9. I wanted to make sure I got that right. By 3 tri-blades. Ciotti in the last live stream. So these props came out like 3 weeks ago, I guess. And I got a couple sets of them and put them in my little spot where I keep all my 1.2-inch props, and then kind of forgot about them. On our stream Wednesday, Ciotti was like, hey, did you ever test those props? And I said, no. When he asked me, I didn't remember that I'd bought some. And I said, they're a lower pitch than the existing ultralights, which I wasn't necessarily interested in because on the existing ultralights are like kind of the perfect amount of pitch. What I didn't think about was super high kV motors in that moment. I didn't realize that until afterwards. Every single rig that I've got that's above 32,000 kV, I have on the Gemfan 1210 biblades, which are a great propeller. but like I don't really feel comfortable putting any of the other more aggressive props, the GemFan 1219S's, the existing HQ Ultralight tri-blades, on motors that are that high of a KV. I don't need that much power, and also it just feels kind of abusive to the ESCs and the motors and whatnot. And I realized, hey, these 0.9 pitch, lower pitch HQ Ultralight tri-blades might be perfect on those ultra high. Look, the 1210s are amazing, and they're a bi-blade. These are a tri-blade. So if you want a tri-blade, the tri-blade flight characteristics on a crazy high KV motor, there you go. That's why these are, in my opinion, that's why these are cool. And so, yeah, we're going to test them out tonight. So there's a poll right now. We're going to test them on the analog 36,000 kV build here. For sure. This is the main rig that we're going to test these on. But then we're also going to test them on 40,000 kV motors. I only really put the 40,000 kV motors on heavier rigs, which are digital rigs. I've got the HD0 rig and I've got the Walksnail rig. They both have 40,000s. I'm not going to fly them both. So you guys get to pick. There's a poll over there, I guess. Which 40,000 kV rig do you want me to fly? You've got plenty of time. It's going to, I'm going to answer Q&A stuff and we're going to bullshit for a while. So yeah, there you go. That's the plan for tonight, my friends. I've already test fit one of these propellers and they got really close to getting the internal diameter perfect, but they're still, in my opinion, a little bit too small. So you're still going to want to drill them out just a little bit. You don't have to drill them out a lot. You just need to put them onto the 0.99 millimeter drill bit. What I'm doing is I'm putting them all the way down to the base of the pin vise, and then I'm just pulling them straight off. I'm not like I'm turning the drill bit to get it to remove a little bit of material and to get the prop to slide onto the drill bit. And that's it. I'm not like continuing to spin it and continuing to move more and more, remove more and more material. They just need a tiny little bit of love for them to fit perfectly on your 0702 motors, so that you don't ruin your motor bells. For those that's news to them, basically every single Tiny Whoop propeller other than the GemFan 1210 bi-blade, the inner diameter of the propeller is a little bit too small. And you have to really push them hard onto these poor little 0702, 0802 motors. The motor shaft and the motor bell are laser welded together, which is pretty strong until a big dumb gorilla starts going and pushing on it really hard. And then not only is it hard on them when you put the props on, but arguably it's even worse when you pull the props off. On the top of these motors, there's a little C-clip that is pretty close to the motor bell. It's not on the motor bell. So when you're pushing the propeller on, that C-clip will push down against the motor bell. But here's the thing, the C-clip is not against the motor bell yet. So by the time that C-clip hits the motor bell, you have already fatigued the hell out of that laser weld between the motor shaft and the bell. On the bottom of the motor, there's another C-clip, but there's a much bigger gap. And so it's abusive to push a propeller on too hard, but it's not that bad. However much force you put to put it on, you're going to have to put that much force to pull it off. And when you pull it off, that motor shaft is going to have a lot more room to move because there's a much bigger gap down at the bottom between the C-clip and the bottom of the stator where the bushing is, or bearing, depending on what kind of motor you're running. And so in the process of doing that, in the process of pushing propellers on too hard and then ripping them off, you're going to ruin your motors. You're going to, it's not going to happen right away, but at some point those motors are going to start to perform really weird, and that's going to be the motor shaft slipping on the motor bell. And then it's going to get to the point where you're like full throttle and the thing barely hovers because one of the motors is slipping, and then the error correction, the PID loop, is throttling the rest of the motors down. And then eventually it won't even fly at all. You can then take that motor bell off, pull the motor shaft all the way out. By the way, this applies to the knurled motors, which are not actually knurled, they're splined, as well as the non-knurled, non-splined motors. This applies to Happy Model, Beta FPV, Newbie Drone, RC and Power. Doesn't matter who it is. They all laser weld the motor shaft to the bell. Where those two meet, the motor shaft is 1.5 millimeters. There's not one motor that has any big. The bigger you make that, the more surface area there is, and the stronger it's going to be. Nobody makes it in 2 millimeters. The biggest that there is 1.5 millimeter. And it also doesn't matter what the thickness of the motor shaft is. What is this hair that won't go away that I can see out of the corner of my eye? 1.5 millimeter motor shaft, 1 millimeter motor shaft does not matter because that is above the bell. All of these motors below the bell and at the bell are 1.5 millimeters in diameter. So there's no difference in strength between brands, between any of these. The situation is all the same. And if you push propellers on too hard, you're going to wreck your motors. Guaranteed. Frank Nicholas tags me and says, ask about Folk's location. Thank you, dude. Type your location in the chat. See if there's somebody near you. What I was saying a second ago is that once that motor shaft and bell have slipped, you can pull the C-clip on the bottom, pull the motor bell off, push the motor shaft out of there, and you can use this Loctite 638 retaining compound. You got to be really careful. You only want to get this where the motor shaft and the bell meet. If you get this any lower on the motor shaft, it's going to glue the motor shaft to the bushings, and that motor will never spin again. So you got to be careful with that stuff. Give it like 3 days to cure, and you can kind of bring that motor bell back to life, but it's never going to be the same. You're going to put 10, 20, 30 more batteries through it, and then it's going to start to slip again. So this is a problem with all motors, regardless of the manufacturer, all motor shaft thicknesses, because they're actually all the same where this is happening, which is at the joint between the bell and the motor shaft. So yeah, this is a really big deal. I've now got both 0.99 millimeter, and this is also a problem with 1.5 millimeter props, because again, it's the same exact 1.5 mil where the propeller meets the motor bell. So yeah, over on my Etsy store, I have both 1.5 and 0.99 millimeter drill bits, so that you can start drilling out your Tiny Whoop props. Luckily, we don't, and again, this is a problem with all Tiny Whoop props other than the Gemfan 1210 biblades. Those are the only propellers that when you push them on, you don't have to push them super hard to get them onto the motor shaft. Luckily with Tiny Whoops, they're not very hard on propellers, so you're not going to have to drill out tons and tons and tons of propellers. It's really not all that bad. Every time you go to put what I would recommend, this is called a pin vise, PIN space VICE. Most pin vices are just single-sided like this. They make double pin vices. Snag yourself one of these, put both in there, and just put this thing right on your workbench so that every time you're about to put a Tiny Whoop propeller on, you grab this. This is how easy it is. You grab the prop, you grab your pin vise, you very gently put it. You want to make sure that you're putting it in the bottom. The tops of the propellers are usually a little bit smaller, so make sure that you put it in the bottom. You want to make sure that you get this centered. I have to do 4 of these right now. And you're going to gently push this on. You should be able to push the propeller on a little bit. What you want to make sure is that you're getting it dead centered. You don't want to drill this thing sideways, crooked, and have the propeller do this. So push it on there as far as it'll go, and then just give it a little bit of rotation, and you're just gonna push the propeller in these 1.2 by 0.9s. Since they're pretty close, you want to be very light on these. You'll notice it. They'll go down the shaft of the drill bit pretty easily. Haha, he said shaft. And then what I like to do is pull them off. And when you pull it off like that, you'll see a little bit of plastic pops out. You can, if you want, I don't know if it takes off more or less material, but you can also spin it out. Play around with it. I try to not have to do each propeller a second time. So just not spinning the propeller and just pulling it out, that seems to remove a nice amount of material. And in theory, it also maybe leaves some grooves, some vertical grooves in there that are going to grab the prop shaft a little bit, or the motor shaft a little bit better. I don't know. Your mileage may vary. I've done them in all different ways. The big thing is to just do this. If you're not doing this, you're going to ruin motors, guaranteed. And most motors you can't get individual replacements for. So by not doing this, you're going to cost yourself $40+ because that's the only way to get a replacement motor. So do this. Like, just do this. I have these drill bits on my Etsy store for $4 each. Spend $8 and save yourself $40. The end. just for God's sakes, do this. Certain propellers will be very hard. You will know it. You will be removing a significant amount of material, and you'll be like, wow, okay. Certain props will slide onto the motor shaft pretty easily, and those are ones that you know are kind of close to the proper spec. Certain motors, certain brands of motor will have slightly different thicknesses of motor shaft. So yeah, kind of pay attention to that a little bit. When you're putting them onto Happy Mono motors, they might be one way. If you go to put them onto a newbie drone motor, the prop might be a little bit too tight still, and you have to drill it back out again. Just keep that in mind. So there you go, friends. There's my public service announcement and what we're getting up to today. There's one single ant just running around on my desk here. Hey, little guy. I don't think the cable is long enough on this camera. No, it's not. It's right there. You'll be able to see him in a second. He's right over here. There he is. You see him? He's going on the camera. Oh, please crawl up on the lens, you little devil. Ever since seeing the movie Ants, I absolutely love them. They're just the most fascinating little. Other than fire ants, fire ants can go to hell. I'm slightly allergic to fire ants. If I get bit, I've been attacked a couple times. If I get bit by one single fire ant, it gets like this big, like almost golf ball size, and it's just painful as hell. It's just, oh God. In the chat, if you want to talk directly to me, type CiottiFPV. Bunch of people have done it already. You can do that with each other. If you want to get somebody's attention, type their name and spell it correctly, put the spaces in the right places, and for that person, their name will light up in orange. You can do it with yourself if you want to try it. Type your own name into the chat and you'll see it'll light up in orange. That's how you get my attention. Type CiottiFPV. If you also want to support full-time a gangly fella doing FPV as a full-time job, which is super difficult. I can't even begin to explain how hard this is. You can also do a super chat. If you want to support me but you don't want YouTube to take 30% of your money, head on over to CiottiFPV.com and there's a PayPal button. If you're going to do a PayPal donation, let me know in the chat. Please tag me in the chat and say, yo, Ciotti, check your PayPal. Super, super, super generous. Oh my God, where is it? How the hell have I gotten this many emails just today? Are you... Oh God, email is just a war zone of death and destruction. There it is. Murray Tyler, thank you so much, dude. Super, super, super generous. $50 PayPal last live stream. The note that he left is, towards the healthcare fund. Thanks for all the knowledge. Thank you, dude. All of you. You are all the only reason that I can continue to do this full time, and it's absolutely incredible. And it is not lost on me. So thank you guys so much. Fix this here, and then let's get this updated. Gear fund, and we are 104. Thank you, dude. Very, very cool. I actually need open enrollment for the Affordable Care Act while it still exists. Is this month, I believe. So I'll actually be jumping on sooner than later. Other ways that you can support me: Patreon helps me out the most. Jump on there. Do it monthly if you don't mind. Also, hey, Patreon changed from only allowing like subscription-based stuff to also allowing you to just do one single month. And for some insane reason, they took tons of people that were on the monthly thing and put them onto the single month thing. So lots and lots and lots of you, without any knowledge, without them letting you know at all, have dropped off of my Patreon. The past few months, my Patreon has just absolutely tanked. It's gone down like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And this is the main reason for it, I'm assuming. Or maybe just you guys all hate me now. But yeah, check Patreon. If you're over on my Discord, and when you put a message in there, your name is white, you're not a patron. Your name will either be red or purple or yellow if you are currently on my Patreon. So go check it, because again, Patreon is like the closest thing that I have to a paycheck. It's literally the only way that I can keep doing this full time. It's so cool that you guys support me over there. It's also a great website, and there's a lot of really, really, really cool people over there. $3 a month will get you in. $5 and up will get you entered into giveaways that I do the first Monday of every month. So if you're on the $3 tier, what an awesome time to get in on some of these giveaways. Eventually you'll win. When you win, it's between $50 and $100 worth of stuff. That'll pay for that extra $2 a month for an awful long time. Hook a brother up. Join my Patreon, yo. Etsy has some really fun stickers and hardware that you can buy. Fiverr, you can work one-on-one with me. Take advantage of over 8 years of knowledge. I can help you fly better, tune better, build better. Over on Teespring, I've got some really fun shirts like this one. Who does not need a clam man on their chest to remind them to not give up? Now more than ever. There's the PayPal button again. And then look at all these beautiful affiliate links, my friends. Using affiliate links does not affect you in any way, and it helps people that make content here for free, for you to watch for free on YouTube, continue to do it. So try to use an affiliate link every time you check out at this point on any website, because pretty much all websites at this point have an affiliate program. Change your bookmarks to the affiliate link so you don't need to think about it, or change your suggestions in your URL bar if you don't use bookmarks to be people's affiliate links. Delete your existing suggestions for these websites, and then just click someone's affiliate link a couple times in a row, and that'll tell your browser, hey, every time I type UMM for Umagod's website, I don't want to just go to umagod.com. I actually want to go to CiottiFPV's Umagod affiliate link, and then you don't have to remember to click them. Amazon, Get FPV, Pyro Drone, Race Day Quads, Newbie Drone, WeBleed FPV, Beta FPV, FPV Cycle, Umagod, Brain 3D, HD0, Flywoo, EMX, Banggood, Camera Butter, and AliExpress. I know it's a lot to change all of those at once. Do one a day. Do each one of my live streams, remove one of your current suggestions and replace it with my affiliate links. It's free money, my friends, and I will spend it on things like these propellers that I can then test and tell you, yo, these are awesome. You should get them on your next order, or for the love of God, don't buy these. They're terrible. And if I tell you not to buy something and you don't buy it, I just saved you some money. Let me get some of that, yo. Share, you selfish bastards. Cheatonian says, didn't I ask you about these last stream? He did. Yeah, I mentioned that a little bit ago. That's right. Grey Hat says, I sent you a 1 foot cube package in the mail. You should get it tomorrow or Monday. Would love for you to open it on a stream so I can see your reaction live. Deal. I will try my best to remember. Sometimes when I get stuff in the mail, I get excited and I just tear it open like a child. But I will try my best. I'm looking for a 1 foot cube package. All right, I will try my best to remember to. I mean, no matter what, I will bring it onto the stream and open it. But like, what you want is to see me cut it open and actually. So I will try my best. Rockcrawler says, "Hey, Gray Hat says." So these are all the folks that have tagged me in the chat. Gray Hat says, "Have you chased drift cars with an Air 65 yet?" I have not, and I won't. I've tried the 75 millimeter rigs. They're just way too heavy. If you want a perfect example of why 65 millimeter rigs are absolute magic for flying inside of smaller spaces, inside your house, chasing drift cars, find a local RC drift car group. Their hobby is more popular than ours. And go with a 75 millimeter rig and a 65 millimeter rig. It is just perfect. It's kind of hard to tell, maybe, kind of, sort of, inside the house, how different those two sizes are. Chasing RC drift cars, it becomes the most obvious thing in the world because they're changing directions constantly, and the extra weight of a 75 millimeter rig is just it's just ridiculous. So yeah, if you really want to feel that difference between 65 and 75, that's a great way to do it. I have tried with a bunch of ultralight 75 millimeter rigs, and yeah, they're just too heavy. There's I know it's only a few grams difference between the 65s and the 75s, but when you look at that from a percentage standpoint, it's massive. It's 15, 20%, 10 to 20% extra weight. Blow that up into a 5-inch rig, right? Of a 600 gram 5-inch rig that gains 60 to 120 grams is going to fly completely different, right? And so that's the situation that we have going between 65 and 75. Yes, there is a little bit more surface area on the 75s, but it just doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter, especially when you're chasing the RC drift cars, because you're flying pretty flat. You're flying low and flat because you're a flying camera. You're not a fighter pilot, and so you're trying to keep the horizon level, because you're flying basically cinematic. And so when you're flying flat, the difference is just that, it's just that side profile. So it's just a tiny little bit extra on the front and back. Flying freestyle, where you put these things up like this sometimes, it's a bigger difference. It's a bigger difference in surface area. But the minimum possible difference is when you're flying them flat like this. And it's really not, it's not all that much. And the amount of extra weight that the 75s carry because of the bigger frame, because of the bigger props, because of the bigger motors, completely negates any advantage from it being physically bigger and less aerodynamic. So yeah, I've been there, I've done that. I did not get the t-shirt because I did not have a good time doing it. But if you only have a 75 millimeter rig, go chase RC drift cars. It's the most fun thing ever. It's going to be even more difficult for you, but you're still going to have an absolute blast. Curtis Hayes says, "Have you seen Rosser's tiny prop video? Any thoughts other than that? I know you aren't a fan of a test stand for prop motor testing, but it's the best we have for empirical numbers versus feel." I actually absolutely love thrust stand testing. I'm always quick to make sure that everybody understands that thrust stand testing is not the end of the story. It's maybe the beginning of the story. Thrust stands cannot simulate real-world flight conditions where a millisecond after you go full throttle, the quad starts moving through the air. And when it moves through the air, there is incoming air, which makes the motor and the props job easier. So real flying and taking a look at the RPMs and the post-flight stats, that is, I think, just as important as all of the info that we get from the thrust stand, but the thrust stand info is still very, very valuable. I absolutely love Chris. I love all of the work that he's done for us for free. We're very, very, very lucky to have him. But unfortunately, this testing that he did is... I don't know how else to say this. I feel terrible saying this, but it's kind of worthless. He used an 0802 motor, which nobody really uses anymore on 65mm rigs. And he also used a fairly low KV, all things considered, motor. And unfortunately, that just invalidates kind of everything in that test. I'm you know, also the GemFan 1210 biblade was not in that test. I have no idea why. I'm yeah, I don't know. I'm super disappointed. I so look forward to like every single video that he does, and I watch every single one of them beginning to end, and I rewind and I look at the graphs, and I really have learned a ton. I don't know, and he said that, and he showed an ultra lightweight tiny whoop that Jesse sent him, which is absolutely on high KV 0702 motors. I don't get it. Basically what he did is he took the equivalent of like a 2208 motor and then tested it on 4-inch props. That's not a combo that anybody is ever really going to do. And with bench stand testing like that, the value of the results is that they're, in theory, very accurate. It's the exact right propeller and motor combo that you might want to actually run. And so, yeah, I don't know. I feel absolutely horrible saying that, but nobody is running 802 motors on 65mm rigs. That has very clearly been proven to be a 75mm motor. And so running that heavy of a motor on these tiny little props, it's just that's a motor that has way more grunt than an 0702. So it's going to be able to push those tiny little props way harder through the air. But then the motor that he's running is a way lower KV than what we're pretty much running on any of these propellers. And so it really skews the test results in favor of the super pitchy, heavier propellers. And I guess like I guess what we can pull from that video is that it's pretty impressive how well the lower pitched props did. The HQ Ultralight, not the one I'm testing tonight, the higher pitch one, the older one, and the GemFan 1219S. Also, the GemFan 1208 did really well, but if you've ever flown that prop, you know that it's not the one. And so, yeah, it really skews the test results. But the fact that the HQ Ultralight and the 1219 did so well is super impressive. And I mean, if you've ever flown a bunch of those props that he tested back to back, it's so obvious that the 1219S, the HQ Ultralight, the GemFan 1210 biblades are just better in every way. I mean, there's nothing that those propellers don't do better than the other ones, other than I guess maybe durability. But if you want durability, the 1219S is really durable. And so, yeah, you really won't need more durability than that. So yeah, I watched it earlier, and I yeah, I was just super disappointed. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how that. Didn't you get that memo? So yeah, I don't know. Himox1 says, if I remember correct, you said Tiny Whoop 32,000, 34,000 kV are more efficient than the Beta FPV 27,000, 23,000 kV motors. I doubt that I have certainly always said that the Happy Model motors are more efficient than the equivalent kV Beta FPV motors. I don't know if I would ever say that a 32,000 or 34,000 kV motor was more efficient than a 23,000 or 27,000 kV motor. But I digress. More flight time if I swap them onto the Air 65. Here, all right, so I think I know what you're getting at here. Couple of things. So Tiny Whoop motors and WeBleed motors are made by Happy Model. So I just call them all Happy Model motors, all right? Happy Model motors are either Happy Model motors are over the KV stamped on the motor is higher than the motor's actual KV, or the Beta FPV motors are understated. So like a 30,000 kV Happy Model motor, in terms of power production, makes about the same amount of power as like a 28,000 kV Beta FPV motor. That in itself is incredibly frustrating because it is not hard to measure kV. It is a very basic measurement. These manufacturers need to get their heads out of their asses. I don't know who's at fault here, but they need to figure this shit out because that makes the situation so much harder to understand and figure out. If you've got 23 or 27,000 kV Beta FPV motors and you go up to 32,000 kV Happy Model motors, you will get either the same amount of runtime and more power, or you'll get the same amount of power. I'm sorry. You'll either get you'll either get the same runtime and more power, or more runtime and the same power. I think I said that right. So yeah, nobody seems to understand what Happy Model is doing to get the efficiency and the power out of their motors, but that they are. The motors on the Air 65 Champion Edition that we tested the other night, Wednesday night, they are labeled as 30,000 kV. There is no, those make way more power. We should test that. What props is this on? We can test this. Let's test this. I can show it to you with the RPM. Hell, we can just test it in Betaflight, can't we? So these are labeled as... Oh, we can test this a couple different ways. Let's just test the KV. KV is measured on an unloaded motor, no propeller on it. So let's take a propeller off of this and a rig that I've got with either 30 or 32,000 kV motors. What do I have here? Oh, if we want to be really drastic, we can test it against that. Now let's test it against 32,000 kV. Yeah, so that's going to be in here. And all right, so here are Happy Model 0702 32,000 kV motors, and then this is a Beta FPV 0702 30,000 kV motor. So I'm going to pull the props from motor number 1. on both of these. And then we're just going to spin them up in Betaflight to 50% throttle. The reason why we're not going to spin them up to 100% throttle is that 8-bit ESCs have a maximum RPM that they can turn, which is around 85,000 RPM. These high kV motors exceed that number. So no propeller on. If you spin one of these high kV motors up in Betaflight, regardless if it's 30,000 kV, 32,000 kV, 34, 36, 40,000 kV, they're all going to show 85,000 RPM. So we're going to spin them up to 50% throttle. We're going to be sending them the exact same amount of voltage, and we're going to see what comes out. So in order to do that, I want to give these a steady voltage. And so I'm going to hook up this little Toolkit RC adjustable power supply. And I've got a little capacitor spike absorber BT 2.0 set up here. I'm going to put the voltage output at... So we don't care what the RPM is. All we care about is the comparison between these two. We're not looking to figure out what the actual kV is. We're just looking at comparing the actual RPM that a 30,000 kV motor turns versus a 32,000 kV motor. Got me? So we're going to give it a solid 4 volts of power output. And yeah, spin them up to 50% and we'll see. So we're almost there. Hold on. I need this guy. And we're going to plug in here. I can't believe I haven't done this yet. Like, when you fly these things, it's immediately obvious. But I'm shocked. I feel like I have to have done this at some point, but I don't specifically remember it, so let's do it again. This will take us all of about 5 minutes here. Great question, by the way, brother. Thank you for reminding me to do this test. All right, so Beta FPV 30,000s are up first. Let's launch Betaflight. And see what we got. Betaflight's going to take forever to launch, of course, because I don't know. Nate Adams says, I spun the shaft on an iGao 802 motor that are currently or always out of stock. Is there a bell that would work and have a 1.5 millimeter shaft that is more available? All of the Happy Model motors are compatible. So, yeah, any of them. Any Happy Model 0802, you can take that bell off. The RS 0802s are available all over the place, and they're a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. The vegan 802s on WeBleed have a 1.5 mil motor shaft, and there's probably 1 or 2 802s on tinywhoop.com that have a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. It's gonna look silly, but you know, who cares? All right, here we go. 4 volts going into the Tiny Whoop motors tab. I understand the risks, and so that you guys can see it, we're gonna go up to 50% on motor 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's given us 64,000-ish. 64,000 kV. Cool. Watch this. Somebody type that in the chat, please. 64,000. Unplugging this. And unplugging the USB. If the KV doesn't show it, anybody that has flown Happy Model motors versus Beta FPV motors knows that they just don't. Yeah, the Happy Model motors feel like they have less power than the KV says. Everybody else's motors feel like they have a little bit more power than the KV says. It's super, 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 super weird. But yeah, that's a thing that I've heard many, many people talk about. All right, Happy Model rig with 32,000 kV motors are plugged in. These motors are a lot older. So, I mean, this isn't like a perfect test, but hopefully we get some... Hopefully we see basically the same KV here. If this is a higher KV, then I was wrong-ish. 50%? Oh my god, what a difference. 50... Well, it's ramping up. Hold on, it's ramping up a little bit. This is an older motor. 57, 58, 59. Hey, there's 59. 59,000. There we go. So this is a higher KV motor that is 5,000 KV down. Did you catch me trying to cover my ass there just in case I was wrong for a second? I wasn't lying. I was saying real things, but I just, you know, sometimes you got to cover your ass. So, yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know if here's what I think it is. I think that Happy Model is using a different method of measuring KV than everyone else. If everybody else is doing it one way and just one company is doing it another way, you can kind of say that that other company is doing it wrong, right? And everybody else is doing it right. Maybe they're doing it right and everybody else is doing it wrong. I don't know. It doesn't matter. You just need to understand that. You just need to understand that there is a massive difference in the stated KV on these motors versus what their actual KV is. When you don't know that and you go to test a Happy Model motor versus a Beta FPV motor, it ruins everything because, yeah, 5,000 RPM different lower on a motor that says it's 2,000 kV higher, right? So, yeah, crazy. The lack of standardization in FPV is staggering, and it constantly screws us, the users, over. And this is a great example of that. Should I take the... I don't love these 12... So these 30,000 kV motors on this Air 65 Champion are turning the RPM of like a 34 or maybe even a 36,000 kV Happy Model motor. And then they've got these really powerful 1219S props on here. When I flew this on Wednesday, I was like, wow, that's a lot of power. And I was kind of talking about maybe pulling these props off. These props are a bit too much. I think I'm going to do that right now since I have it right here. And hey, since these motors are cranking out so much RPM, we might as well include this in tonight's test. So we'll see how this thing flies with the... Ooh, even better. Instead of pulling these props off now, I'm going to leave these props on. We're going to fly a battery with these props, and then we're going to move it over to the HQ props. I left the GemFan bi-blades on all of these rigs so that I can fly it with those props first and then switch it over to the HQs. And so we're going to get a great comparison of GemFan 1210 bis versus HQ Ultralight 1.2 by 0.9 by 3s. With this thing, we can also get a nice comparison of GemFan 1219S's versus, which is comparing the GemFan 1210s, it's going to be pretty close. These 1219S's it's not going to be close. This is a 19 pitch propeller. These are 0.9 pitch propeller. So there's going to be a pretty big difference in this test here with the Air 65 Champion. There should be a lot less of a difference with these guys over here that are on the 1210 bi-blades. Cool? Great question, Himox. Thank you for letting me do that test. I didn't realize it was that drastic of a difference. That's insane. If I'm honest, that's wild. So that absolutely, man, what I was about to say is that really explains why the Happy Model motors seem to get a lot more runtime. They still make really good power, though. That's the thing. And I have absolutely had a bunch of identical builds where when I'm flying them, they feel the same, but then the Happy Model motored rig has a little bit better efficiency than the other one. So yeah, I don't know. If efficiency is what you're looking for, look at what the racers are running. Efficiency is very important to the racers. And so, yeah, you can take a look at what they're doing to get a good feel for efficiency. For freestyle, efficiency doesn't matter so much. Happy Model, WeBleed now has 0702 bells with a 1.5 millimeter motor shaft. And that right there is an indestructible 0702, and that's pretty awesome. So I'm not running any motor other than Happy Model because I can put those bells on there. I hope that we get some more props. The only propeller option right now is the Gemfan 1210 biblade, which is a great prop. But it would be nice to have at least one tri-blade option. We'll see. There you go. I need to charge more batteries if I'm going to test this extra rig. So hold on a second. Let me just fire the Fly Whoopster back up real quick here. Nate Adams, we got that. Gray Hat says, could the PPP from WeBleed serve this function with its little bits? It depends. So the WeBleed's prop popper is now coming with so it has always come with different diameter pins here. 0.8 millimeters, 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeter, 2 millimeter. And then you unscrew this and you can swap the different pin out. It's always come with them. Nowadays, it's coming with not only those pins, but little tiny drill bits. And then you take this whole thing apart, you unscrew this back part. I'm sorry, no, you unscrew the front part, the whole blue thing comes out, and then you can use it as a pin vise with this little guy here. The problem is, the prototype little tiny drill bits that Zotek sent me, the 0.99 millimeter drill bit is actually a 0.96 millimeter drill bit, I think he said, and 0.96 is not big enough. So he knows that. Maybe by now he's already fixed that. Maybe it'll take a little while to get that fixed. But yeah, at the ones that showed up to me, it won't work for drilling out a 1 millimeter prop. The 1.5 was totally fine though. So with the WeBleed prop popper, yes, you can drill out 1.5 mil props, but until he changes that 0.96 drill bit to a 0.99, it's not really going to work right. It's not going to remove enough material for 1 millimeter motor shaft propellers. Boy, are we in the weeds tonight. That's all right. Sometimes you got to just learn a lot. If you are completely lost, that's all right. Keep hanging around. We'll talk about this stuff again. It'll make a little bit more sense the next time. We'll talk about it again. It'll make a lot more sense the third time. And then the fourth time, you'll be like, yeah, talk about something else, you gangly shit. Brandon's Baked Beans says, I flew my 65 and 75 at the Playground Jungle Gym yesterday at the park with Enyoki. Oh, very cool. And I had way more fun. I had way more fun with my 65 millimeter 0702 Whoop. Damnedest thing, isn't it? It's almost like I know what I'm. This is not me talking to you, Brandon. This is me talking about all the people that give me shit for not knowing what I'm talking about when I say that 65s are God's gift to tiny whoops and that 75s are the greatest thing on earth. Had way more fun with my 65 millimeter 0702 Whoop. I need to fix my 75. What props are better than the 1610 by 2s? There aren't. That's one of the problems with 75s is that we don't have nearly as good of a propeller selection. What is this? What is as we do with 65 millimeter rigs. The Gemfan 1610s are still kind of the best. The HQ Ultralight 1.6 inch props are really good, but they're also very fragile. They are breaking in half like this from like nothing crashes for me. And when a prop breaks like that, if it's somewhere that you can't get to it, you just put $100 to $200 into oblivion. Is my hair just all tangled up? What is happening? Yeah, jungle gyms have like all these little gaps that are like roughly the same size as the gaps that you're going to fly around inside the house. And so 65 mil rigs are amazing at jungle gyms. The biggest problem is wind. The 65 mil rigs are a lot lighter, and so they get much more affected by the wind. But if there's not much or no wind at a jungle gym, holy shit, a high KV 65 millimeter rig is the most fun you will ever have. It is just wild. Also, the 65 millimeter rigs are super durable nowadays, so you can just hammer the shit out of it and just keep going and going and going. Grey Hat says, CiottiFPV turns to Shia LaBeouf about drilling props. Just do it. Neurone FPV says, hey, patron, French slang word for boss. Did you see that 04 Lite coming? Still under NDA. No, I'm way too small for DJI to even remotely know that I exist. No NDA for me. Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super worried though that T-Motor is going to do some dumb shit and make it not work with all of our current builds. And yeah, so cross your fingers that DJI uses some standardization from FPV. 25.5 by 25.5 mounting, you know, semi-normal AIO sizing so that it won't hit on everything. Apparently it's only going to be 10 grams, which is like totally cool. For freestyle, that's going to be a 2S 75 millimeter rig for sure. I'm going to also do it on a 65 millimeter RC drift car chasing setup for absolute certain. Walksnail is really good, but Jesus, 04 is better. Here's what I'll say. The 04 system that is in the Avata 2 is better quality than the GoPro Hero 12 and 13, especially in low light. To have that kind of quality on a 65 millimeter tiny whoop, come on. I mean, latency be damned. That is absolutely ridiculous. Yes, the runtime will go down even lower, but who gives a shit? So yeah, if that thing is good, problem's going to be it's going to cost a fortune. Money no object. With how many of these Walksnail Lite VTXs have been dying on me, I would love to shift everything over. I would love to, as great as Walksnail is, the failure rates on these Lite VTXs is kind of unacceptable. But the problem is going to be that the 04 stuff is going to be more expensive than the 03 stuff, and the 03 stuff is already mega, mega, mega expensive. And so, yeah, I won't be able to like kit out a bunch of tiny whoops with it. I'll definitely do one or two, but yeah, I won't be able to like remove Walksnail from a bunch of these rigs. That'll be a cool comparison though. It'll be a comparison of latency versus video quality, right? 04 will have worse latency but better video quality. Walksnail will have the opposite. So yeah, we'll see. That's super exciting, man. My God, to be able to build a tiny whoop with 4K, what? That's insane. All right, chat is just exploding, so I'm gonna go as fast as I possibly can through this to get caught up so that we can then take a look at these props. Himox tagged me but didn't say anything a couple times in a row. Were you trying to put URLs into the chat. YouTube doesn't let you do that. If you want me to search for something on Google, just tell me what to search for on Google. Tag me again and tell me what to search for on Google. Can I Get a Channel says, yo, check it. He says, we love you, you psycho. Level 1 Drone says, joined your Patreon last live after you advised about the Mobula Diamond AO, which is looking to buy. Saved me a few bucks, so there you go. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Level 1. Very cool of you. Yeah, for the love of God, nobody ever buy the Diamond AIO. It's the worst Tiny Whoop AIO that's ever been made. They're just trash. They removed way too much capacitance, and so the electrical system is incredibly noisy. So you just can't use higher powered motors on it. And even when you use lower powered motors, you still can't get a very good tune because there's so much electric noise. The Diamond is also one of the least reliable AIOs ever made. A lot of them blow up the second that you put power to them. It's just a garbage AIO that should not be sold anymore as far as I'm concerned. Grey Hat says, loving my Air 65. Got my first ever power loop gap indoors on like my second battery through the newbie drone gate on the ceiling too. Those are small. Awesome, dude. Very cool. Yeah, the newbie drone gates are small. Speaking of, the newbie drone gates have been taken down in favor of this insane setup that Harbles and, is it Grim? No, it's Brim. Mr. Brim. I want you guys to go subscribe to somebody on Instagram because he made something super cool. Over on Instagram, I'm typing it into the chat. BRIMM, is that it? BRIMM? That's it. I think maybe on YouTube, here on YouTube as well. It's in the chat. Mr. Brim, he made something super fucking cool that you guys are going to get to see. I still have to, you'll see. It's mounted up all janky right now, but boy is it cool. And so, yeah, shout out to Mr. Brim and Harbles, Ken down in Florida, for scheming and sending this awesome double helix Tiny Whoop race gate with the sickest LED setup ever. It's just the wiring. I'm going to have to run the wiring up through the ceiling tiles. But I also have to, you'll see, it's kind of shifting to the side. It's relatively long, and I have it kind of condensed, and that's making it not a perfectly straight line right now. It kind of goes off to the side. But I don't know. I don't have enough of the hangers. I have to do a Tiny Whoop order to get more of these metal hangers, which came in really, really handy for it. So I need to get more of the metal hangers to extend this thing a little bit. I think that'll fix the issue. And then I just got to figure out, I got to run the wires up through the ceiling tiles. And then the other thing I have to do, which I've been meaning to do, is there used to be overhead fluorescent lights here. Patrick and I took those out, and I left the wires up there. And so the wires are hooked up to a switched outlet. So I just need to put I think it's against code, but shh, don't tell anyone. Put a electrical box up there. Right now it's wired up for the ballasts, right? I just need to put a little electric box up there so that I can plug this in. Because tonight I'm gonna have to run it off of USB battery packs. But yeah, I'll be able to plug that in up in the ceiling to hide all the wires, which will be great because I've been meaning to do that. I've got a light stand over here that I've been meaning to. I want to take this, and I got 1/4-20s so I can mount that up there, and then I'll be able to get rid of this light stand. There's another light on there, and I'll figure out a different spot. But yeah, I'll have one less thing, and I also want to put another one over on this side, like probably right there, and point that back there, so that those are basically the background lights. Right now I'm essentially running this globe really bright to light up this whole area. In the middle it gets a little bit darker, and then it's extra bright over here from this, and from there's another light bulb right there. So yeah, just cleaning things up a little bit. Hanging things from the ceiling. It'll be great. What's cool, too, is the plan was to put a quad box up there, a quad outlet box up there. So I'll have one light, two lights, and then the two USBs for this thing. Good to go. Use the whole thing. Away we go. And it's on a switch. In a moment of oh wait, no, I guess it was on the switched outlet anyway. So yeah, it'll be nice that I'll just be able to flip the switch. The switch doesn't do anything right now other than turn on two outlets over on the wall. In the basement here, all of these lights are on. All the light bulbs are on an app called Magic Home. They're all Bluetooth or whatever. They're like the cheapest. They're Philips Hue knockoffs. They're the cheapest possible ones that you can get from Amazon and eBay, and they work pretty well. And so yeah, the entire basement. It's kind of annoying when I'm gone because like nobody else in this house. I keep telling everyone else in the house to just download the app and set it up, but they're not. And so yeah, when I leave, it's kind of annoying. That's the big problem with those kind of light bulbs. If you're gonna run them not on switched outlets. And then if you run them on switched outlets, they're annoying as hell anyway because like killing the power, sometimes they'll lose their bind or not the bind, but whatever the hell it is. So it's not a perfect situation, but that's life. Timmons is in the house. He says, any idea how much weight can be saved swapping silicone motor wire out with 28 gauge Whoop wire? Would it really be worth the hassle? Probably not. The regular silicone motor wire, I believe, is 30 gauge. So if you're running powerful enough motors, the Whoop wire being 28 gauge, there could be a little bit of efficiency there, a little bit more power getting to the motor. I doubt it, but you never know. Yeah, I mean, if the motors that you've got are on plugs and then you move it over to direct soldered, you're going to get a little bit of a benefit there. If you also use the 28 gauge Whoop wire, you might get a little bit more of a benefit, but the majority of the benefit is going to be getting away from that motor plug. But then you're going to have direct soldered motors, which is, in my opinion, a super pain in the ass. So there's a lot of to and fro with that potential change. Grey Hat says, with the advancement in weight savings, do you think we'll see 55 millimeter whoops? Probably. There's people that have been talking about it for a while now. The size of the AIO is going to be the limiting factor. But now that they're starting to shrink the AIOs down on the corners, yeah, there is a little bit of room to pull the ducts in a little bit. So that'll be interesting. The problem is going to be that they're going to have to make all new products for it. And so, yeah, I don't know. It might be 65s forever, but it'll be cool. Grey Hat says 0801 motors, imagine. Rolling on the floor laughing. Brandon Bean says the HQ Ultralight 31 is actually nice on 702 26,000 kV motors, though. I'm running it right now. The HQ Ultralight props are awesome. Them being super lightweight really makes tiny whoops fly great. I do notice that they, even though it doesn't show it on Rosser's test, they definitely feel to me like they make less power than the Gemfan 1219S's. Could be because he's using an 802 motor, which we don't really use. Could be because he's using a motor that's lower in kV than what we really use. Who knows? Could be placebo on my side. But what I do know is that the HQ Ultralight props are kind of fragile, and that's one of the other reasons that I don't. Although I don't know, I had a really rough time with them initially, breaking in half, but after a while, initially I was flying a lot of batteries though, so that could be it. I don't know. They're not that fragile, but they're definitely more fragile than the 1219S's. I don't know. They're both great props. Brandon Bean says orange stuff only runs 802. on his, and he was using them. He encouraged me to try even on the 0702s. I won't be going back after tuning them a little. Damn, very cool. Have you also run the regular pitch ultralights? Grey Hat says, I know more blades equals more grip. Does it also mean more yaw performance? No. I don't think so. It's an interesting question. Yaw is coming from... I don't think so. Because... Well, I mean, it depends on which biblades versus tri-blades you're... Here's what I'll say. Whichever... If you're running a biblade that makes more thrust than the tri-blade you're comparing it to, I'm pretty sure that will have better yaw performance. On these 65mm rigs, the yaw performance is staggeringly good. So we're not lacking in yaw performance. So yeah, it's a really good question. I'm not completely sure of the answer, but I think whichever propeller has the most thrust is going to give you the best yaw performance, because the thrust is coming from it pushing the air, and that push back on the propeller is what's generating that like gyroscopic rotational force that's causing the yaw to happen. Super interesting question. You won't notice it though. You won't notice a difference because the yaw performance is so good anyway. Vampire says, I met CiottiFPV at Castle Crash. I find it I am bad with names as it is, like normal human being names. And then you throw like a YouTube name, a Discord name, an Instagram name into the mix for each individual person. And I'm just, it's impossible for me to keep track of anyone. So Vampire, I can't put a face to the name, but hopefully I wasn't a jerk. I'm sure it was great to meet you at Castle Crash, even though I don't remember, you didn't, I doubt that you introduced yourself as Vampire, so I would have no way of knowing you. K-Row40 says, my 75 is flying very differently to the 65. When faster, yawing some weird back pitch. What does that mean? Any tips where to start? I have no idea what weird back pitch means. Here's what I will say, though. 75mm rigs will never fly as good as 65mm rigs. So if you're expecting your 75 to be as good as your 65, don't. It's just never going to happen. I've spent hundreds of hours trying to make that happen, and it just doesn't. It won't. But yeah, I don't know what back pitch means. The only thing I can think of from what you've said so far is that when you yaw, it pitches backwards, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless both of your rear motors are... Tell me more. Yeah, that is... I would be very surprised if it's just one motor, if it's going back, if it's pitching back at an angle, either to the left or to the right, I can see that. But if it's pitching back flat like this, that makes no sense, because that means that both rear motors or both rear ESC channels are starting to shit the bed, which is, I mean, it's possible, but boy, would that be rare. Grey Hat says, not 5,000 kV down, 2,500. Did I get the math wrong? That's okay. No, I didn't. 64,000 RPM. And then 59,000 RPM. So yeah, it's 5,000 RPM different. If I accidentally said KV, I apologize. I meant to say RPM. 5,000 RPM different. There it is. 661 says he means RPM, not KV. Sorry, guys. DX says you can definitely say then it's not KV that they're measuring, right? I mean, they're measuring RPM. But then they're either doing a calculation wrong, they're just measuring KV in a different way, or they're not measuring the KV. They're just putting a number of winds on that should be a certain KV and just slapping that KV on there and being like, cool, next. Something ain't right. But, yeah. Dave Gunna says, I bought 802 RC and Power 27,000s before knowing that these are not ideal for a Mobula 65 frame running Walksnail. What props should I use to make the best out of the situation? Thanks. You should build a 75mm rig. Those 802 RC and Power 27,000s will be fucking awesome on a 75mm build. They are so heavy of a motor that on any 65mm build, it's going to feel like a fat shit tank ass bastard. To just answer your question without making suggestions, run them on the Gemfan 1219S props. It's a pitchy propeller, but it's still lightweight. It did awesome in Rosser's testing, and I think he was running that exact motor. And they're a durable prop. You're going to need a durable prop because that's a heavy-ass motor, and that rig is going to be like 19, 20 grams dry. So it's going to crash like a bowling ball. And so, yeah, you're gonna really need a durable prop on there. So Gemfan 1219S. Cheatonian says the math works out that to compare Happy Model motors to Beta FPV, cut somewhere around 16% from the listed KV. Thank you for doing that math, dude. That's pretty cool. Cheatonian says, so the 32,000 KV are about 27,000 KV equivalent, Beta FPV equivalent. Wow. That's insane. 32,000 KV down to 27. Again, the motors that I was running on that rig, the 32,000 kV Happy Model motors, I've pounded the shit out of them. So this is not like a perfect test, but this is super interesting stuff. And that difference is big enough where I don't care how beat up that Happy Model motor is. That's good data. The Happy Model motors are much, they perform much lower in KV when compared to Beta FPV in terms of the actual KV numbers that are stamped on the motors. Gray Hat says, can you use the PPP with third-party bits? Yeah. Good call. Totally. Yep, it's just a regular old chuck. Yeah, absolutely. You could absolutely do that. So get yourself a WeBleed prop popper, and then get a 0.99mm bit off my Etsy store. And yeah, you could absolutely drop that in here, use it, put this thing back together. Good call. Good thinking. WeBleed says 0.97. Sorry, I said 0.96 before. It was 0.97. Yeah, just a little bit too small. I'm getting caught up here. Getting caught up. Off Axis with a $5 Canadian super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, Beta FPV gifted me a new Air 75 analog ELRS bind and fly and a new AIO board, the G4 5-in-1. Have you reviewed it yet? Thanks, Ciotti and Gangly Gang. I have. A couple weeks ago, I reviewed the 5-in-1, and then the 5-in-1 is on the Air 65 Champion that I reviewed on Wednesday. So yeah. It seems like a great AIO. The problem is the UFL port is incredibly fragile. So if you plug an antenna in, don't unplug the antenna, ever. On the very first time that I unplugged the antenna, so the 5-in-1 that they sent me, I put an antenna on it, and the first time I unplugged that antenna, it ripped the UFL off. This also happened to Chris Rosser. I think this also happened to Nick Burns. And it's happening to loads of people. In fairness, the same exact, well, not the same thing. My Mobula 6 2024, I put antennas on and off a bunch of times, and then at some point the UFL ripped off. it wasn't as bad. It didn't take the trace with it, like is what keeps happening on a lot of these beta FPV 5-in-1s and the 4-in-1s. But still, yeah, in the process of making these new AIOs ultra lightweight, the UFLs have become incredibly fragile. So on all of these ultralight AIOs, just consider the UFL ports as a one-time use. Pick a good antenna, plug it in, E6000 it down, and never unplug it. Get a blob of E6000 up on top of the UFL, and then make sure it runs down onto the board itself. You want that E6000 to hold that thing down. You're trying to hold both the antenna plug on, but you're also trying to hold the UFL to the actual PCB itself. Dave Gunna says, please share a parts list for lightest 65mm Walksnail Whoop possible now. I don't build the lightest whoops possible. I build the most durable whoops that have good power, that are... So, like, durability and power are kind of fighting for the top spot, and then lightweight is solidly behind either one of them. Power and durability are way more important than super, super, super lightweight. When you go super, super, super lightweight, the durability always suffers, and that sucks. The power doesn't suffer, but the durability absolutely suffers. So I don't have that. I don't have a parts list for what you're looking for. But what I can tell you is that the Newbie Drone Lite AF is the lightest of the frames. It does sacrifice durability. So like the second lightest frame is the Cockroach V3. And then 0702 motors are pretty much all roughly the same weight. Props are a pretty personal kind of decision. The AIO that you're going to want to use is the Beta FPV Cross style F4 5 amp. And then the canopy is on you. I really like the Mobula 6 old school canopy. It's a little bit heavier, but it's super durable. There are loads of 3D printed canopies that you can do that are lighter weight, that are going to, sacrifice durability. So there you go. That'll get you started. Grey Hat says, if you go to my channel and you search for Walksnail, so on anybody's channel, there's a little hidden magnifying glass here. If you click it, it'll allow you to search just on their channel. So if you search my channel for Walksnail, there are just loads of live streams of me talking about and building Walksnail 75, 65, all kinds of different stuff. So lots and lots and lots of info here that you can leave on in the background and listen to while you're building stuff or living life. Mape with a 199 super chat. He says, name your top 3 AIOs of 2024. Happy Model 2G4, Happy Model 2G4, and Happy Model 2G4. There it is. Thank you for the support, Mape. There are only really 4 Tiny Whoop AIOs. I'm assuming that you mean Tiny Whoop. There are only 4 Tiny Whoop AIOs that are even remotely realistic to use. Happy Model 2G4 is absolutely the best in my opinion. It's the only one that's actually durable. The Beta FPV F4 5 amp Cross would be, I guess, second place for me. It doesn't have a VTX built in though, which is kind of annoying. And then third and fourth place, I don't know how I would split them. I think it would be a tie for third place between the Beta FPV 5-in-1 and the Happy Model, the AIO that comes in the Mobula 6 2024. I think it's called Super X, but there's like an old version of the Super X and now this new version of the Super X. I would put those in a tie for third place. But yeah, the Happy Model 2G4 is the only AIO that I will spend my actual money on. It is infinitely more durable, and it's got everything built in. It's easy to build out, and it just works. So yeah, that's the one. Grey Hat says, I posted a little 10-second video in Troubleshooting Corner on Discord. I have a motor that the stator wiggles inside the motor when the bell moves. Ever seen that before? It's wild. Stator wiggles. Yes, I have seen that before. The stator is the stator itself is fused to the base, and that can like let go. It's super rare, but I have seen that before. When it's being spun up in Betaflight, the stator just wiggles constantly too. That's wild. Yeah, it's very, very rare, but that does happen. Brandon's Baked Bean says, the ones I'm running are the regular pitch ones. The regular pitch ones are great. They say 31mm by 3 on the prop. The new ones say 1.2 by 0.9 by 3. Yep. Yeah, the regular pitch ones are awesome. The HQ Ultralights are a fantastic propeller. I wish they were just the tiniest little bit more durable. But if you're willing to sacrifice that durability, I think that they're the best of the tri-blades. Doubles FPV tagged me, but didn't say anything. If you were trying to drop a link, YouTube doesn't allow that, unfortunately. Oh, there he goes. He says, I met you at Castle Crash 2 and you weren't a dick. Score! When I leave the house, my anxiety goes to a 50 out of 10. And so I basically go into essentially ego mode. Ego, the word ego gets a very bad rap if you haven't dove into like mental health shit. The word ego has a very negative connotation of like just being assholes. And it can be. Your ego can be an asshole, but it doesn't have to be. A lot of us have an ego-driven state that's not horrible, but your ego-driven state is your autopilot. When you drive to work and you do not remember anything from the drive, you were on autopilot, and your ego was calling the shots. Luckily, my ego is not an asshole. For some people, it is. You ever meet somebody that's very like hot and cold? Like they'll be super friendly one day and like a total asshole the next day. When they're an asshole, they're not living in the moment. They are on autopilot. Their ego is protecting them. Our ego is our protector. It is very important. In the mental health world a couple of years ago, there was this big movement of like, kill your ego, destroy your ego. It's bad. It's horrible. It's not. It's super important. It protects you, among other things. It protects you from being hurt. If someone is being an asshole to you, and the right response is to be an asshole back, your ego will take care of that for you. And so it can get a very bad rap in that way. For the record, I'm grossly oversimplifying this, but I'm talking about this in very broad strokes. And so, yeah, when I'm out in public, I'm my anxiety is absolutely excruciating, and I go into this autopilot mode, and I jokingly say that hopefully I wasn't an asshole, but secretly I'm trying to make sure that I'm trying to check myself, right? Because when you're in that autopilot mode, you're not living in the moment, you're not checking yourself, and it's very easy to say shit that's not cool and act like an asshole. And yeah, I never want to be like that. Just as a general rule for living life, you know, I never ever want to be that guy. And so, and in order to do that, you have to check yourself. I tend to over-check myself, and I use shame, unfortunately, but I will continue to work through that in therapy probably for the rest of my life, as I have been for the last 2+ years. So there you go. There's some real talk for you. If you've never been to a talk therapist, go. You will learn more about yourself and how your particular brain works in a couple of sessions than you could ever imagine. And you will become so much of a better human being here on Earth. And your loved ones and the people around you and your friends, they will fall that much more in love with you, it's an extremely life-changing process. But you have to do it. You have to book the appointment. You have to show up. You have to be honest with them. You have to be willing to do a little bit of homework when they tell you, you can work on this, you can work on that, whatever. You have to be willing to do a little something. It's not just walk in there and they sprinkle magical unicorn dust on you and you're a better human being that's happier and healthier, mentally healthier. You have to actually be willing to show up and do something. They will not push you so hard that you're doing like anything that actually feels like homework, but yeah, got to put in a little bit of effort. But go. Even if you're not willing to do that stuff, they will educate you. Their whole life has been spent learning how to explain to people how their brain works and how their emotions react and to different stimuluses, and it's a fantastic thing that you deserve to do. You deserve to do that for yourself, especially if you have health insurance. If you have health insurance, you will not have to pay $150 a session like I do. For fuck's sake, take advantage of the health insurance that you're paying a ton of money for every month and get your ass to a talk therapist to get some more value out of your health insurance. It'll be like a $20 copay, and yeah, think of it that way. Get your money's worth out of your health insurance, yo. Go see people that can help you live a happier, healthier life. What else do we have? Fucking A, are we going to need it over the next 4 years? Jesus Christ on a crutch. Verschagen says, I tried Whoop wire for motor wire. The weight savings is negligible, especially with how brittle the wire is. For the purpose, not worth it. There you go, Timmons. Thank you for that feedback, Verschagen. I had a feeling. I know that all the top racers are doing it, but they're looking for fractions. They're looking for fractions of a fraction of a gram. And they're on the clock, so it makes sense for them. For us just having fun, it's an awful lot of work. Timon says, not sure if you saw, but WeBleed is shooting for 32,500 kV 0802 motors with 1.5mm shafts, spring 2025, mentioned earlier in the chat. Oh my God, that is going to be awesome. I love that. Brandon's White Bean says, I just switched back to the 1610 from the 1608x3 on 802 25,000s, flies so much better. Yeah, man, that comparing those two props is wild. And that 1608x3 forever has been like the second best propeller. The difference is insane. Martin Tanley says, any idea why when I put 1.5mm props on my 2-inch rig, they're way too long and slip off the shaft? Don't know if you know the 1104 T motors, but very small shaft in height. What do you usually do? Yeah, some of these motors have really short shafts. Not unlike many of you. Yo, it's been a long time since I insulted everyone watching. So we're back. All right, for propellers that fly off of motors, I haven't showed you guys this trick in a long time, actually. Get your least favorite sharp-tipped tweezers, and if this is the propeller hole, you're going to go in at an angle, and you're going to scrape. What you're trying to do in there is you're trying to dig down into the plastic, which will then raise the plastic on the sides, right? Like, it's got to go somewhere. So as you dig with the tip of the propeller, it's going to lift the plastic up on the left and right of where you're digging. And so you go all the way around. It's going to destroy the tips of your sharp-tipped tweezers, which is why you want to use your least favorite ones. And so that's the deal. You go in there, you scrape as hard as you can all the way around in a full circle. And that's going to leave 2 rings on the bottom of that propeller, which is where it's going to be actually connecting with the motor shaft. And those 2 raised ridges are going to push harder against that motor shaft, and that'll hopefully get it to stay on. That's about all you can do. The only other thing you can do is look for propellers that fit tighter. Grey Hat says, if you add a little solder to the pads for the UFL, could it help? No. It would probably make it worse because you'd be putting heat what's ripping off, pads are glued to the PCB. So you've got the PCB, you've got a layer of glue, and then you've got the pad. The more times you heat that pad up, the more it's gonna like try to liquefy that adhesive. So yeah, it's pulling the pad off. It's not pulling the UFL off the pad. It's pulling the actual pad off. So there's plenty of solder there. If the UFL was popping off the pad, then yes, adding extra solder would help. But that's not what's happening. It's ripping the actual pad right off. And so yeah, it's a manufacturing problem through and through. Grey Hat says, why is your E6000 black? Mine from Tiny Whoop is clear. They sell E6000 and they sell T7000. T7000 is black. It's the same stuff. So yeah. T7000 black. I think there's a slight difference, but like in actual practice, you're not gonna notice the difference between the two. But if you want black E6000, it's called T7000 on Tiny Whoop. KRO40 says, it could be only one motor that causes the weird back pitch. I'm new going straight, quick yaw with roll around a big pillar. The feeling between 65 and 75 in this scenario is heavily different. Yeah, 65s have much better yaw performance. What you could also be running into, I don't know anything about the 75mm rig that you're flying, but if it's a low KV underpowered 75mm rig, which most of them are, it could just be running out of like motor power, and essentially it's like a form of yaw washout. So yeah, more powerful motors are the right fix for that. Higher KV, for a 75mm rig, one of the best motor options is going to be an 802 25,000 kV or 27,000 kV. If you put those motors on there and it still does it, the AIO is definitely the problem, but it probably will not do that. You're probably on a rig with like 20,000 or 19,000 kV motors. That's way too low. And it's just sort of running out of power. So yeah, the right solution is higher KV or bigger motors. 802 25,000 kV. Right now over on WeBleed, the vegan motors are in stock, and that's exactly what they are. And they have a 1.5mm motor shaft. Those are great motors for a 75. You still won't get nearly the performance that you'll get from a 65mm rig, but it'll transform that build. Grey Hat says, why did you mention T-motor in connection with DJI-04? By accident, I guess. To my knowledge, T-motor has nothing to do with DJI. I don't remember what I was talking about. Dave Gunna says, thank you, you're certainly welcome. Grey Hat says, on AIOs, it's a shame the X12 is too heavy for a 65mm. Such a great AIO. I've not had a great experience with X12s. I'm now on my third failed X12. So I don't know. I don't know about them X12s. I love that they have 12 amp FETs. I love that some people say that they can handle 2S, but even on 1S, yeah, I've got 3 dead X12s, and I have not put tons of batteries through them, so I'm super suspect of the X12s. I really want to try one more, but it's like, Jesus, 3 failures is an awful lot with not tons and tons of batteries. Grey Hat says, can I fly with a wiggly stator? I was scared to try, but it spins up fine on the bench. If it's a Tiny Whoop, you're just going to fly it around the house anyway. What's the worst that happens? It lets go and you have to walk and get it. I would say, send it, bro. Look how cool I am. I said send it. Hey, 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 hey. Send it, send it, send it, send it. I'm gonna say send it 1,000 times a day, even when it makes no sense, because I'm a cool guy on YouTube. Send it, send it, send it. Send, 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 send. Full send. Put a stamp on it and send it. I'm so cool. Everybody's gonna subscribe. Yeah, 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 yeah. Send it. I'm cool now because I said the thing that everybody else says, even though it's excruciating and so played out and dumb and awful. Send it. Send, 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 send. I'm so cool. I'm so cool. Everybody go join my Patreon because I'm so cool, and send it when you join the Patreon. Arc Arcs UK says, have you considered getting an Elgato ring light or others for your stream setup? You can also use them as another race gate near your monitors instead of having the light wall. Unpopular opinion, but I hate the way that ring lights look. I think ring light style lighting, which has been around in the photography world for a long time, like I'm talking like 15 years. And initially, ring lights were used for primarily macro photography, and you could use them for like kind of a specific look, but then like they just exploded and became like way over popularized, and just everybody started using them, and it just got like really stale and really overused, like and so I've never really like recovered from that. What I don't like about a ring light is that it kills all shadow because of the fact that it's giving light from 360 degrees around the lens. Inherently, any shadow that would have been all the way black, like right around here, will get lit, which is like a look. It's not a look that I like, but it is a look. And so, yeah, you'll pretty much never see me using a ring light, in unless I do macro photography at some point, because that's really what it... Oh, come on now. You were doing so good. You were doing so good, webcam utility. So, yeah, ring light is not my thing. Let's see if I can get this going here. Come on, you bastard. Come back to life. Come back to life. Hey, there we go. Yeah, I shot still photography for 10 to 15 years. And for about 7 or 8 of those years, I really fell in love with lighting. Did a bunch of work as a gaffer, which is just a fancy name for people that set up lighting on film sets. And yeah, just really fell in love with just lighting in general. And so I have pretty strong opinions on on certain things in the world of lighting. And this lighting setup here is like my baby. I've done so much work to dial this in and be able to have separation between me and the background. Not have a lot of what we call like light pollution coming from this big ass wall of gridded LEDs, not spilling all over the background. Also having something that's as small as possible so that I can fly around here without like giant deep octoboxes or any weird shit like that. So yeah. Where the hell were we? Grey Hat says, I'm going to run through the chats as quick as possible. Also, let's talk philosophy of ego. No. I gotta test these props, yo. It's already 8. Oh my god, it's already 8:43. All right, I gotta go super fast through the chat. For anybody that really wants to dive into ego and mental health stuff, over on my Discord, there is an open to everyone channel called FPV Therapy. Over on Facebook, I have a group called FPV Therapy. There's a link to it over on CiottiFPV.com. These are not spots to talk about, yo, I went and flew and now I feel better. FPV is not actually therapy. These are groups, these are spots for people that are into FPV to talk about actual therapy and talk about actual life problems. And for other people that hopefully have been through some amount of talk therapy and or, you know, just in general learning about it, to help out, be there, just, you know, be a little bit of a community of people that are strong enough and brave enough to actually talk about the crazy shit that goes through their heads. The absolute best resource that I have found for free in the last God knows how many years is Healthy Gamer. I'm going to type it into the chat. It is a YouTube channel run by Dr. K. It will change your fucking life for the better. Healthy Gamer GG. He's here on YouTube. He's got a podcast. He's also on Twitch still, I believe. and he's dead on the money. Yeah, start watching a couple healthy gamer videos and just learn about how your brain works, and you will be a happier, healthier human being on Earth. I promise you. I love the idea of flying a whoop through the ring light, though. For the record, ARCs, that would be fun. But I'm not willing to spend money on a ring light because I know I just won't use them until I get into macro photography someday, which I probably will because it's super cool. Hymok says, is the 4x3 stretched image on a 14x9 budget goggle that bad? If so, is there a 16x9 camera? Is that a thing we do? The main problem is that you have to change all of your cameras over. If you try to fly one rig with a 4x3 camera stretched to 16x9 and then another rig with a 16x9 camera, it is going to fuck you up. All of your perception is going to be wrong because of that image that's stretched. So we really try not to do that. If you have goggles that are 16x9, hopefully those goggles allow you to just chop the sides off and just run the image in 4x3. 4x3 is the best way to fly. We need more vertical field of view than we need width. We do more with pitching up and down than we do left and right. So yeah, 16x9 goggles shrunken down to 4x3 is the way to go. And then 4x3 cameras are also the way to go because they typically have more vertical field of view, which is what you want. Timon says, I know you talked about the Go 2 and maybe the Go 3 on the tiny lifters. Have you tried the RunCam thumbs at all? Are any of the iterations lighter? All of the RunCam thumbs are lighter, but it's just basically because they don't build a battery in. You have to run them externally. I have actually not tried any of the RunCam thumbs. The first one, I looked at a bunch of flight footage from it and it looked like shit, and I was like, nope, not into it. The RunCam Thumb Pro actually looked pretty good. And then the new one, I don't think I've actually seen any flight footage from the new one. When the new one first came out, I looked around for actual flight footage and nobody had any. And then I kind of forgot about it. But the RunCam Thumb Pro is pretty good. I just haven't dove in there yet. Hymok says, oh no, we got that. Scott Pethy, do me a favor, guys. If just stop tagging me. I need to get this prop testing done. Save your questions for, what's today? Friday, Sunday at 3 o'clock or Monday at 10 o'clock. Cool. Scott says, I was just running the 35mm by 2, 1.5mm WeBleed red bi-blades. Those are the GemFan 1210s. On a 65mm with 802 snowblowers, 25,000 kV motors. I think I like the 802s on a 65mm better than the 702s. To each his or her own. The 802s at that lower 25,000 kV are definitely going to have much better throttle resolution because you're going to have less power in the throttle throw. So if throttle resolution, if you fly in a way that really good throttle resolution is fun and or makes you fly better, the Canon software is going to shit the bed again, fair warning. Then yeah, it does not surprise me. Also, the 802s are heavier, so that extra weight is going to give you a worse power to weight ratio, and that is again going to give you even better throttle resolution. Personally, the lighter weight 702s with some throttle expo added is the way to go. You can get all the throttle expo that you'll ever need, use all the throttle resolution that you're ever going to need with a properly set up throttle expo. Throttle expo is, there it is. I knew it. Throttle expo is a little bit difficult to set up though. I do have a live stream. If you go into my channel, click the little magnifying glass and search for Throttle Expo. There are 2 live streams where I get all the way down and dirty with it and show you how to set the Throttle Expo up perfectly. But again, if you've got a rig that you love the way it flies, fly the shit out of it. That is the way to go for sure. Come on, goddammit. There it is. And we're back. Grey Hat says, no dental floss for loose props. Oh, that's another thing you can do. I always forget about that. But I think those short shaft motors are for pushers usually. Yeah, you put a little piece of dental floss in the hole of the propeller. Oh my God, really? Jesus. Man, I've been a Canon fan for like 25 years. But this might be the end. Putting out software that's this bad is just really shitty. It's a really shitty thing to do to your customers. You know, having cameras that force your customers to use this software and then the software is dog shit, that's bullshit. Lewis says, have you used the EV800Ds? Do they suck enough for me to try and get something else? I'm making chicken and pastry. Want some? I would love some. I've not tried the EV800Ds, but I know lots of people have. They're probably way better than what they cost. Yeah, I haven't used them, so I can't really say much more. Sorry. Cheetonian says, Tiny Whoop has some 802 33,000 motors right now, but they're only 1mm shaft. I'm bell swapping my last hope for 75mm 1S after playing with 2S. 27,000 kV has not been enough. Yeah, those are the Imoptera Ipomo motors. They're awesome. On a 75mm rig, though, I don't think they're going to give you what you're looking for. I mean, if you want to watch me try that, come on, man. All right. Gray Hat says Wiggly Stator is on the Grinderino. Ah, okay. So just fly it in spots that are recoverable. Oh, okay. YouTube's about to bomb, and there goes YouTube. Okay, awesome. So YouTube just bombed. Let me relaunch that. Maybe I was unfairly blaming the Canon software. Maybe it was YouTube being such a pile of ass that. Oh my God! Now I got to do all this again. Jesus Christ on a cracker! Oh, YouTube! What the fuck? Boy, would it be nice if anyone made anything that works anymore. HD0 won the poll, 64%. So I'm going to end that. The poll was, which digital rig am I flying tonight? JMPFPV says, I built a Grinderino with 5-inch arms, 2004, 2400 kV motors, getting oscillations, twitching at cruising speeds. Haven't been able to tune it out. Suggestions. Bigger motors. 2004 is a motor that is going to work really well with a 3-inch to 4-inch propeller. 5-inch propeller is going to be too heavy for that motor. And basically what that means is that the motor is not going to have a good enough response time for the PID loop to like actually work. You said oscillation parentheses twitching. Those are two completely different things though. Oscillation, if you're getting an oscillation, then yeah, the motors are too small. The response time is too slow. The motors can't spin up and down fast enough to fix that wobble. You can spend a ton of time trying to tune it out with the PIDs, and you can maybe make it 10% better, but the proper solution is going to be to go to a much bigger motor. Not much bigger motor, but a bigger motor for sure. Like a 2304, 2005, something like that. If you're getting twitching, like fast twitching like this, that is usually the sign that your gyro is failing, or you've got like a screw that's loose somewhere, or the arms are delaminating, or the arms are just finding a resonant frequency that they don't like. When you go to like really skinny, really long arms, that can kind of happen. Umagod is pretty good about, Umagod is who designed the Grinderino. He's pretty good about testing all that stuff. So I wouldn't think that he would put out an arm that would have a bad resonant frequency, but you never know. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff for you to try. Gray Hat says, can you or have you done a stream about photography basics crash course for drone pilots? I hit on it every once in a while. If you guys ever want that, all you ever have to do, not 6 minutes before the end of the live stream, is ask me. So yeah, I've talked about it a couple times. I've never like had it in the stream title or anything like that. But yeah, next live stream, if you guys catch me halfway through, if you're interested in that, let me know, and we'll talk about f-stop, shutter speed, ISO. Those are the 3 core basics. To be honest, you can just type into YouTube like beginner's guide to f-stop, beginner's guide to shutter speed, beginner's guide to ISO, and someone else will have a quick video breaking them down. Those are the 3 things that if you have even a base level of understanding, you'll be able to create video from your quads that looks miles better than if you have absolutely no idea what they are and you're just looking at somebody, some stranger on the internet and copying their settings. Copying someone's settings for camera settings is a horrible idea, because the changing your settings off of automatic to manual, which is what you're going to be doing if you're copying someone else's settings, you've now locked that camera into only working well with a very specific amount and quality of light. And that person on the internet knows what they're doing, hopefully, and they're setting their camera up for a very specific lighting situation. Your lighting situation is going to be completely different because you're not that person. And so, yeah, if you don't understand shutter speed, f-stop, ISO, just leave your stuff on automatic. The algorithms built into these cameras nowadays are pretty damn good. But if you want to take it up to the next level and actually make creative decisions about how your video looks, you need to learn those 3 things. And you need to set them manually. And that process of setting them manually is you being creative and saying, I want the scene to be a little bit too bright, a little bit too dark. I want the shutter speed to be slower so that I get more motion blur. I want less motion blur because I'm trying to capture someone's face crisply, but I'm moving quickly. I want more noise. I want less noise. I don't know why you would ever want more noise. That's what ISO does. But yeah, there you go. Thrash FPV says, got a trippy spin the studio lights. Never. Trippy spins can die on the vine. Level 1 Drone says, what about a rim light for your hair? Like this one? I've played around with trying to figure out how to hang a light that's bright enough to actually rim light up here. It's just sort of a pain in the ass. Once I have that box up in the ceiling, maybe I would do that, but I'm pretty happy with this as a rim light. Yeah, this is one of the most recent additions to my little lighting scheme. Previously, it was that. And now it's that. This is called a direct highlight. There's a direct bounce. The angle from this light is directly bouncing, and that's why it's sharp like this, and it's basically like a glare. These are big diffuse light sources, and so they won't do that like straight bounce. They're hitting my skin and then bouncing everywhere. Don't get me started on lighting, man. It'll be an hour later. I'll still be going deeper down the rabbit hole. Grey Hat says, you'll be proud of me. I did 6 packs while chilling on your stream. Hell yeah. Grey Hat also says, what light camera for the Pavo 20 Pro do you like for commercial applications? Pavo 20. Doesn't that have 03 on it? Stick with the 03. Yeah, 03 is what you want. Can I get a channel? Says, thanks very much. Learned a lot tonight. Awesome. CMYK's in the house. What's up, dude? Timon says, internet bandwidth is probably screwed with everyone watching the asshole versus Mike Tyson fight. Probably. Narone says, good night all on CiottiFPV. Big thank you for the work community created. Keep up the good work. See you, dude. Thank you, brother. And cool. Now we can get started on the thing. 1 minute before the end of the live stream, and we're going to get started on the thing that is in the thumbnail. But again, I front load the Q&A because you guys have excellent questions and I have answers. And that is the most value that I can possibly give you guys. Whether or not these props are good or not, spend $4 and find out for yourself. I have pre-drilled out a bunch of these green ones. But first thing we're going to do is fly these guys on the Gemfan 1210 biblades. So I'm actually not going to test the digital rigs because we're so short on time. We're just going to test the analog rigs. I'm much more dialed in on the analog rigs anyway. So first thing we're going to test is a 36,000 kV 0702 on Gemfan 1210 biblades, and then we're going to switch over to the HQ Ultralight 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 tri-blades. Cool? All right. Fair warning, I might not be able to tell a difference. Wait, let's weigh them first. I've actually not weighed these propellers. When you weigh Tiny Whoop propellers, do yourself a favor and weigh 4 of them. Because your scale is not really sensitive enough to give you a super accurate reading with just 1. So fix that by weighing 4. 4 of the HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3s are 0.69 of a gram. 0.68 to 0.69 of a gram. We'll just say 0.69. 4 of the GemFan 1210s are 0.73 of a gram. So ever so slightly heavier. It just came down to 0.70. Realistically, they weigh the same. Kind of unbelievable that a tri-blade weighs the same as a biblade, but these tri-blades are very fragile. These biblades, you could throw off the Empire State Building and they would survive. Yeah, these GemFan 1210 biblades are hysterically durable. So yeah, with lightweight comes some fragility. Just ask my... No, that doesn't work. All right, transmitter coming up. And we've got... I'm going to run these on the Beta FPV lava batteries because these have all been cycled the exact same number of times. I only really use these batteries for product testing and for chasing the RC drift cars. So this is the best I can do for taking batteries out of the equation. Low power until first disarm is on right now. You'll get video back in a second. Come on, bind, you bastard. Bind! Thank you. Which one of these is volume? That one's volume. Right? What? Whatever. What's happening? Fly! There it is. GemFan 1210 biblades first. My goggles are off. It's dark in here. Here we go. Whoa, angle mode's on. Oh shit! I forgot to turn on the double helix thing. Hold on, I can do this quick. I can do this quick. That's what she said. There's one. Oh. This battery bank acts really weird. I hope it's gonna turn on. Ah, there it is. Oh boy, is that so cool. Get a load of this. I've actually not flown through it yet. Oh yeah. Woo! Fancy. This thing is flying a little weird. Ah, shit. Tried to get all weird with it. Let's go upstairs real quick. Oh, boy. Hopefully the lights are on tonight. Yay! Woo! No, 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 no. Yeah, I got away with it. Shag carpet is lava. Ooh. Oh! Look at the hang time, bro. So these high KV motors and these biblades are a great match. There's enough RPM to create really good thrust. And then with the biblades, what's really cool is they're kind of slippery, which with a Tiny Whoop is kind of nice. The ducts the ducts themselves give you a good amount of grip. And then so the propellers, being a little bit slippery, oh god, oh, that was a hard hit, give you, oh, thank god, give you a pretty balanced flight experience, I find. Ah! And so, yeah, I really dig these. I always have, man. Ever since these 1210s first came out, I've been a huge fan. And this new crop of ultra lightweight bi-blades are super interesting, don't get me wrong. And sometimes I think I like them better. But then I go back to these 1210s, I'm like, ooh, I'm home. And I mean, part of that could just be that I've put tons of batteries through these. But I think it also has to do with that bit of slipperiness. So like when you're off throttle like that, all these off throttle moves, the bi-blades just sail through the air, which is sort of the experience that we get with everything else that we fly outside, right? 3-inch rigs, 5-inch rigs, they have a lot of throw. And so one of the things I always try to do is get all of my rigs, all of my builds to fly as similar as possible. I don't know why it didn't go through that gate. I thought I had that lined up damn near perfect. And so, yeah, there's a lot to be said for these 1210 bi-blades. Plus, they're really durable, which is awesome. Oh, God. Woo! Yeah, so that... You can kind of see that the double... Crash recovery, just hooking a brother up. The double helix is not lined up properly. This side of it over here is kind of off. I gotta figure that out. I gotta figure out what to do about that. That right there was actually crash recovery screwing me over. Every once in a while it gets a little confused, and that's what that was. So there you go. 3 minutes and 30 seconds from 36,000 kV motors. Well, yeah. Yeah, Metal Dirt's gonna... I know what you're saying. I'm kind of thinking the same. It's... Yeah. Let's try this. I'm gonna turn... it's... I think I might need to put it in a part of the room that's darker. It's close to the part of the room here that's got an awful lot of white light being thrown around. So there you go. There are the GemFan 1210 bi-blades. Let me fly... No, let's just... We're out of time, so let me just yank these off and put the HQs on. I will continue to fly these props off stream to give you guys more of my thoughts about them. But, I mean, basically, as long as this thing doesn't all of a sudden make absolute gobs and gobs and gobs of power, like too much power, then I'm going to be pretty happy with them. That's sort of the one of the main things that I'm a little bit worried about with them is that it's going to become overpowered. But you know, as we just found out, these 36,000 kV motors in everyone else's kV measurements are actually like 30,000. Which is not that high of a kV. Man, do they make good power, though. Like, every time I fly this rig, I'm never like, oh, I wish I had more power. That thought has never once crossed my mind. And I mean, if you don't think to yourself, boy, do I wish I had more power, then just fly, you know? Did I drill these out? I thought that I did. I did drill them out pretty lightly. That one I had to push a little too hard on. Just drilling them out a tiny little bit. more, maybe? I don't know. Nope, that one definitely has been drilled out. I think I didn't drill them all out, so I pushed that one a little too hard. This one should be perfect, though. Oh, boy, yeah, okay. I'm still having to push on them pretty hard. I'm still having to push too hard on them. So, yeah, you need to drill these out. For sure. I'm hitting them a second time, maybe a third time here. Okay. What do we got? Motor 3. Whew, yeah. These need to be drilled out, for sure. I'm having to push these. I've pushed all 3 of these on too hard. I'm not stopping because I'm in a hurry. But, yeah, all 3 of these, even after being drilled out twice in that one's case, I'm having to push onto these motors a little bit too aggressively. All 4 of them. Yeah, all 4 of these need to be drilled out a little bit more. But they're on now. Another 300 mAh lava battery. Let's see how it is. All right, well, 2 of them are fouling on the ducts. So something that I can definitely tell you is that these are a slightly bigger propeller than the Gemfan 1210s. Oh boy. These are hitting on the ducts. Oh. So these are a lower propeller. They are sitting deeper down in the duct. I don't love that. See where the tip of the prop is? See how low it is in the duct? So the duct gets smaller as it goes down, and so it's scraping on the duct a little bit. The easy way to get around that is to flip into turtle mode and spin them backwards. This is the Cockroach V3. Flip on turtle mode and spin them backwards, and they will self-clearance. Whew. And now they are self-clearanced. I think one of them is still rubbing a little bit, but let's just go. We're short on time here. There he is. There's our boy. Oh boy, this sounds like ass. Yeah, these are rubbing like crazy. They'll clearance. Oh god. Oh, jeez, what was that? What did that just hit? It sounded like it broke everything. I don't know what it just hit, but man, it made a hell of a noise. Okay. Teddy, back off. Teddy, stop stepping on stuff. What is the matter with you? Stop it. Hey, stop it. What's gotten into you? Stop. Stop. Hold on. I need to spin these back up in turtle mode. Turtle mode. Sorry for anyone wearing headphones. You've now died. Wow. These props are hitting the ducts bad. They are bigger. It seems a little bit better. As with the other HQ tri-blades, they are very reactive. 3 blades, slightly lighter. Yeah, it's just on the sticks. There's just less response time. Like it's just they are super reactive. Like it's absolutely so obvious why the racers love these props. Trying to figure out if they have the same power or more. They don't scream more power. They also don't scream less. They're roughly the same pitch. The Gemfan 1210 biblades, 10 is the pitch. These are 0.9 pitch. So, I mean, technically these are slightly lower pitch, but they're a tri-blade. And a lot of times when you look at a tri-blade and a biblade that have the same pitch, the tri-blades will make a little bit more power. Even though that really doesn't make sense. Pitch is the measure of how far a propeller travels with one rotation. So technically these should make less power. Oh my god, Teddy. Are you kidding me right now? Why are you like this, dog? Oh my god. Oh, shit! Alright, I talked about durability testing them. Oh, shit! Any propeller that'll let me do the giant power loop on the first try is okay by me. Ooh, I missed it on that one. These are fine, man. These are totally fine. This is cool. The more pitchy... Oh, boy. The more pitchy HQ ultralights on these high KV motors are a lot. A lot. Too much. These, I think, are kind of just right. I really like the high KV motors with the Gemfan 1210 buys. And I think these are giving me basically the same amount of power. No, don't fall down behind the... Oh. I'll tell you what, man, those tiny whoop LEDs make it really easy to find these things now when they fall down behind shit. Hey! Jesus. Mr. Brim, yo, go follow him. Follow him on Instagram, follow him on YouTube. He made this. He made this thing. How fucking cool is that? Oh man, look at all this up tilt. Jesus. We don't need that much up tilt. Now this thing's gonna fly totally different with less up tilt. I like these props. I like them a lot. Man, they are rubbing on these ducts something awful, though. Oh, really? You couldn't just not hit that part of the gate? That spiral that I just got of the dog was pretty fucking cool. 3 minutes and 40, but boy, oh boy, did I run this battery all the way down. So runtime seems completely fine. Yeah, I don't love that they're rubbing on these ducts so bad, but I've crashed this rig quite a bit. This frame is... Actually, I changed this frame not too long ago. Let me just try to bend these. I can see where it's rubbing. It's rubbing on the outside, which is always where these start to rub, because the outside eventually pushes in from all the crashes. That should be a little bit better. Let's do another battery on them. Let's go right into it here. I want to turn the some of the lights off in this room to see if the double helix is any cooler looking with a little bit less light on it. So let's turn these off. That might do the trick, actually. You guys get video back? Yeah, you did. Let's see. A little bit better. Whew, it is hard to see. It's gray on gray, so it's hard to see when the LEDs aren't going around. Man, is that cool looking though? The way that like when you link up with the LEDs and fly with them. Oh, I timed it perfectly wrong. I was trying to time it right, and I timed it exactly wrong. Here we go. Yeah, chasing the LEDs through there is super cool. All right, let's go back upstairs. Oh God. Oh, jeez. Yeah, these make good power on these mega RPM motors. Oh my God, what just happened? That was weird. I just kept adding more and more throttle and it didn't stop dropping altitude. Oh God, fan. They orbit the fan very well. Oh God, hold on. Oh man, that fan is trucking. Can't quite keep up with it. Sketchiest thing ever. Look at how fast those blades are going. I ain't playing that game. Yeah, these make great power on these motors. Ah! Oh man, I'm getting no luck in working the WeBleed gate with the WeBleed cube. Jesus. There's a little one. Ah! Not flying great tonight. Oh! Bending the frame up a little bit got the motors to stop rubbing. Ooh! At the end of this battery, we'll take a look at. So the only real problem I had with the higher pitch HQ ultralights is that the blades were so thin that after a bunch of crashes, the blades would start to get like folded up, and then like once that plastic folds, it's never the same again. Oh no! Why couldn't you just let me get out of there, you goddamn bastard chair? How dare you! Ugh! Oh, farts. Oh man, that was like the hottest little sequence. Oh man, this is just insane. Man, I can't fly for shit anymore. This is ridiculous. Where is it? It's where the red cord is, which is going to be over here somewhere. Oh God, why are there propellers all down the back of here? What the hell? Where is it? What? Teddy, you are not helping, dog. Whew. Boy. This is something else. Where did this... Oh, it came from there. Weird. Weird. I like them. Oh my God, dog. Please. Please. Oh my God. Easy. Why are you so bad sometimes, doggy? These... Ooh, hold on. Let me check Throttle Expo. 37, 38, 36, 39, 36. Call it 38. Let me make sure my Throttle Expo isn't way off. 38 is where I want to set it. Rate. Up to go down. Nah, 38. It's perfect. These propellers put power down in a little bit of a different way than the than the bi-blades. Like, just trying to get in between those cymbals and the drum set, I was having a hard time locking my my elevation in. The props are not all bent up. I mean, we didn't crash it super hard, but they are not bent up, which is a good sign. One more. Nope. Let's switch over. Let's switch over to the other rig. So now we're going to go to the Beta FPV Air 65 Champion with 30,000 kV 0702s that perform like 35,000 kV. I wouldn't be surprised if the performance of this rig, the power of this rig is damn near exactly the same as what I was just flying. Right now, though, these are on the Gemfan 1219S tri-blades. Big, pitchy tri-blades. Let's see how it is. This will actually be interesting to fly this back-to-back from that 36,000 kV build. All right. This thing is a little bit lighter. Oh my God, what was it? Oh, oh, so that's an unintended consequence. These are invisible. What the fuck? This is invisible from the side. I came like ripping through here and I just didn't see it. It's gray on gray. I need to get it maybe on like a black background somehow. How can I get this against black? What? I don't know why, but this flies very differently. And it does have more power. Could just be these props. I really can't wait to get this thing onto the HQ props. For sure this has more power. Not tons, but noticeably more. Oh, come on now! Oh! Ooh. That was bad. That was a hell of a hit. Oh, God. The review of the Air 65 Champion continues tonight with extreme durability testing. Oh, yeah. This makes more power. For certain. But these propeller... This is a lot more propeller. Oh, I tried to just hold the line and get it to go through the doorway, and it did not. Wait till you see the difference in runtime. Oh my God, I tried to like last second throw it through that gate. That was a dumb thing to do. Ah! I'm getting better at that. I'm getting better at this little, I don't know what to call it, but it's like a whip through there, and then it's like I back it into the cube. Hey. So yeah, you're really getting to see the difference in efficiency between the Happy model and the Beta FPV motors here. You know, we were getting, what, 3 minutes and 45 seconds? Now we're down to 2 minutes and 15 seconds. Yes, we're making more power, but we ain't making that much more power. So yeah. Let's get this off of these props and onto the to the HQs. I'm dying to know what this will be like on the same propellers as the Happy Model 36,000s. I refuse to believe that a motor that's labeled 30,000 kV is going to crank a higher RPM than another motor that's labeled 36,000 kV. That's a bit much. Like, I can see these guys being off, but like, woo, that is like so far off. I have to assume it was these props. And I mean, it makes sense. These 1219s are double the pitch, right? So, yeah. I'm going to put the teal propellers on this one. Let's see if these ones that I drilled... Well, let's see what they're like on beta FPV motor shafts. They slide on a little bit easier. So the beta FPV motor shafts, I only drilled these guys out once. And so these beta FPV motor shafts are ever so slightly thinner than the Happy Model ones. Maybe not. That one I had to push pretty hard. I'm just gonna start hitting these props a second time with the with the 0.99 mil drill bit. Don't do that. Is that the right one? Yep. Oh man, I'm still having to push that hard on there. Jesus. Every time you do that, every time you push a propeller onto the motor bell a little bit too hard, you're fatiguing that motor bell. So if you do that a bunch of times in a row, you're gonna that shaft is gonna start to slip. So like doing it once is not the end of the world, but yeah, if you continue to do it, that motor ain't gonna be long for this world. By the way, Spider Sugar and Super Deluxe are probably streaming right now. Go get some of them. I'm officially intruding on their time slot. Tell them CiottiFPV sent you. There you go. Champion Edition on 1.2 by 0.9. Is this battery a little bit warm? Is this the one I just ran down? Yeah, 382. I think I have one more fresh battery. Yeah, 4.37. Look at you. All overcharged and shit. Overachieving battery. Good for you. All right, here we go. I couldn't figure out how to plug in the BT 2.0 for like a half second. My brain just went like... Grey Hat says it'll be way easier to see when they're lined up. Cheetonian says, okay, now we can convince HQ to make these in 1.5 millimeter size. I hope they make all these props in 1.5. Grey Hat also says HQ tri-blades equal Tiny Whoop stick bang props. Yeah. Cole Power says you could 3D print something that catches the whoop from falling back there. That is a great idea. Here we go. What? Transmitter's not on. It's actually quicker to unplug and replug to get ELRS to bind. Yep. There we go. And there it is. Oh, what? Oh, you big dumb man, you. They shipped this props out. It's probably quicker for me to switch this to props in. Everything I have is on props in anyway, so this is a... I'm going to view this as an opportunity to fix this rig. Props out was very important on Tiny Whoops back when we had low-powered motors. Now that we've got really powerful motors, in my opinion, props in is better. Props in on Cinewhoops is a miracle. It is incredible. And Tiny Whoops also have ducts. So in theory, props in should help Tiny Whoops drop elevation, also known as doing dives. And I love me some dives. So, motor direction. Hopefully the wizard will work. I'm going to need to give it power, though. There we go. Start and spin. All right. Motor 1 is correct. 2 is incorrect. 3 is incorrect. 4 is correct. Now they're all correct. Beautiful. USB, battery back in. There we go. All right. Air 65 champion. Yeah, now it feels normal. Give me another second. I think it's, oh God. I think it feels pretty much the same power. No, it might, I think it maybe still makes a little bit more power. Man, I would hope so, for the runtime being almost half as much. Oh, a little bonk off the top of the refrigerator. Wish that was on purpose. Whoa, jeez. Yeah, okay. Beta FPV, you need to put a higher KV number on your motors. This is... I refuse to believe that this is a 30,000 kV motor. Ah! Oh man, I'm really interested to compare these to the other HQ tri-blades, ultralight tri-blades. Because man, these make power. I mean, yeah, these motors are really powerful. Ah! Damn it! Woo! Oh, this thing is too cool, man. Oh God, what was I doing? Oh boy. Ah! I tried to back down that little path. That ain't coming out. Oh, shit! Let's see how these are. What is happening right now? See how these are when you try to fly them really small and technical. This is not... I don't know if I have throttle expo dialed in on this rig or anything. 31, 30, 32, 31... Let's call it... Oh my God, the battery's dead already. 32. Profile, let's say, rate, up to go down. 32. No, the throttle midpoint's perfect. Well, with how powerful these motors are, I need more throttle expo. But this battery is dead. 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I like these props a lot. I love when Fat Shark goggles beep like this. It's my favorite. Damn. Okay. Grakana says, why does props in help with dives? Absolutely no idea. But Mark Spatz, UAV Tech, figured that out a year or two ago, and boy, was he right. If you've got a Cinewhoop that's props out, put it to fly it a bunch, and then put it to props in. You will not believe the difference. It does everything better. It's really incredible, the difference that it makes. Betaflight developers originally had the default as props as props in. Back then, rigs were all underpowered. I'm sure they tested it. I think what happened is once we got more powerful drivetrains in these rigs, props in became less important, essentially. But yeah. Hold on. Let me... Well, no. All right. I'm not... The Air 65 Champion is not a rig that I've spent a lot of time with. This Ultimate Freestyle rig on the Happy Model Motors is. I want to fly these props super technical. So we're going to go back to the... we're going back to the Ultimate Freestyle Tiny Whoop on the Happy Model 36,000s. There's no reason that these props shouldn't be totally fine when you fly them real small, real technical, but let's just make sure. Yeah, this is much more of what I'm used to. Just the way that these Happy Model motors make power is either more linear or I'm just more used to it. Could be a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, or it could be just that I'm more used to it. Hey. This for sure has less power. Unbelievable. These motors have been crashed a bunch, though. These are not fresh motors like the ones on the Air 65 Champion. These have plenty of power. Hold on. Ooh, okay. Maybe not. Maybe these don't make less power. They're so much more controllable in the middle of the throttle, though. Like, when I just fly around like this, they feel like they have less power. But when I do these massive moves, it's covering the same... The way that I judge at this point is I throw it back and I see how far it goes. See how it went to the end of the couch here? So we do it again. It basically went the same distance. So really powerful motors will go all the way to the wall, and I'll have to blip the throttle to keep it from hitting the pineapple. Oh, God, I almost put it in that plant. Oh, shit, I haven't hit that lamp in a long time. Where am I? Oh, my God, Teddy. Take it easy, bro. Oh, you know what I was messing around with the one night? I don't know if it was on stream or not, but this. Ah, there we go. That one was a little bit cleaner. For the record, it's not a power loop if, like, when you come around, you have to, like, and then, like, look, here. This is not a power loop. This is not a success. That is obviously not a power loop. Neither is this, though. This is not a successful power loop. Ready? That is not a power loop. That is a failed power loop. This is a power loop. You got it has to be one big thing. Just because you got back through it, like that's a power loop. You know what I mean? Don't keep doing it until you get it so that it doesn't look like you're changing a flat tire as you come back through. That's a weird analogy to go with. Look at this runtime, yo. Oh! So what I will absolutely say is that this thing... I can't believe I just hit it when I was about to say that it's a lot easier to fly into and out of it than the newbie drone gates. Oh my god, I can't believe I got that out of there. Yeah, this is a lot easier to just like hurl it through there and not hit anything. I'm going to figure something out really cool to do with that. You know what I was almost kind of thinking, because it is so long, is putting it in the garage. Oh boy, I ran this battery way too low. Look at that runtime, though. Look at the difference. That's what when I say that the Happy Model motors are just like magically ultra efficient. And fair warning, I ran this battery way too low. But still, the Happy Model motors are magical in terms of efficiency. I don't get it, but I kind of don't have to. It just is. There you go, friends. There's my review of the HQ 1.2 by 0.9 by 3 props. I'm really impressed. They're just as lightweight, just as snappy, just as reactive as the more pitchy ones. And if you pair them on a really high KV motor, you can still get really good power from them. These super high RPM motors, I don't like them with the pitchy props. The Gemfan 1219s, the old school ultralights. It's fun, but it's just too much power and you lose throttle resolution. And so, yeah, in my opinion, if you're gonna go north of 32,000 kV, let's say, these motors might be a better choice than the old school ones. Durability seems okay. They're not getting all folded up. I didn't really slam this thing super hard, so time will tell with that. I have to assume that the durability is going to be exactly the same as the previous gen HQ Ultralight props, which is a little bit less durable than what I'm usually looking for, but like not that bad. But again, if you want something that's ultra lightweight, it's not going to be ultra durable. The Gemfan 1219S and 1210s are, in my opinion, the best mix of power delivery, lightweight, and durability. These HQ ultralight props, for me, with how often and how hard I crash and how lazy I am about changing props, they're just a little bit too fragile for me. Each and every one of you has a completely different barometer for those things, so these might be absolutely amazing. Look, I would for sure get 2 sets of these and try them. In trying them, you're going to find out if they're durable enough for you or not, right? So just get them. It's going to cost $8 whole. Use my affiliate link if you don't mind. And run them. And if they're durable enough for you, awesome. And you like the way that they fly, great. Kenshiro Nagata says, are you using HD3s? How is your video so good? I have HD2s, but that's just my eyeballs. That's not what you guys are seeing. You guys are seeing a $25 janky little VRX from Amazon going into the computer for the live stream. Good analog video quality comes from a decent quality antenna and good antenna placement. The active element of this antenna is up nice and high, as far away as I can get it from, within reason, from the AIO and the motors and all this garbage. And then, you know, flying inside the house, you should always have good video quality. Also 25 milliwatts, because inside the house, inside buildings, there's all kinds of multipathing. So it's about, you know, less multipathing, which means less power. Going up to a higher power would let me fly like out into the yard better, but inside the house there'd be more bounces from the extra power. And then the Runcam Nano 3 is just like an awesome analog camera, which was unfortunately discontinued. But there's lots of other good cameras out there. Great job, HQ. These props are awesome. I love, like, before these, on these high KV setups, it was just run the bi-blades, which is fine because the bi-blades are great, but it's awesome to have another option for those crazy high KV motors. Get yourself a set. Check them out. Be good friends. Best of luck to us all. We're going to need it. Here comes some more RC drift car chasing. This is with... Oh, look at me titling some of these files. This is the BI camera on the little RC drift car chase rigs with 0702 28,500 kV motors. I did not leave a note as to what propellers, but there you go. BI camera 702 28,500s. Come on. Come on. There we go. I'll see you guys on Sunday at 3 o'clock. CiottiFPV.com to support me. I need your support. This is crowdfunded. You guys pay my bills so that when I test stuff, if it sucks, I tell you that it sucks because I bought it. I'm not relying on companies to send me stuff. Love you. Bye. See you Sunday at 3.
Bye.